The champagne glass shattered against the marble floor, crimson liquid splashing across polished Italian leather shoes that cost more than most people's monthly rent. Elena Rossi's hand was still raised, palm stinging from the impact, her chest heaving as silence crashed through the Manhattan ballroom like a tidal wave. Every conversation died. Every eye turned. The string quartet's violins screeched to a halt mid-note. The man she just slapped didn't move, didn't flinch. His jaw was carved from stone, a thin line of blood trickling from his split lip where her engagement ring had caught skin. His eyes, dark as a moonless night, fixed on her with an intensity that made her knees weak. But Elena had never been good at backing down, even when every instinct screamed that she should run. "Keep your filthy suggestions to yourself," she hissed, voice steady despite the adrenaline flooding her system. Dante Moretti tilted his head slowly, like a predator calculating the perfect moment to strike. Around him, 6 men in identical black suits tensed, hands moving toward their jackets. The air turned electric with violence barely restrained, but Dante raised one hand, a simple gesture that froze them all in place. Power radiated from him like heat from asphalt in summer. "Do you have any idea?" he said softly, his voice a velvet threat that carried despite the whispers erupting around them. "Who you just put your hands on?" "I don't care if you're the president," Elena shot back, even as her survival instincts cataloged every exit in the room. "You don't talk to women like that, ever." Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise? Amusement? It vanished before she could name it. He stepped closer, invading her space, and she caught the scent of expensive cologne mixed with something dangerous and masculine that made her stomach flip traitorously. "You have fire, little lawyer." He practically purred the words, his accent thickening. "I like fire, but fire gets people burned." "Then maybe you should step back before you get hurt again." Elena held her ground, even though her heart hammered against her ribs hard enough to bruise. Dante's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. He leaned close enough that his breath ghosted across her ear, sending involuntary shivers down her spine. "When I'm inside you, the only word you'll remember is more. More of this feeling, more of me, more of everything you think you don't want but your body is already begging for." The audacity stole her breath. Heat flooded her cheeks, but before she could formulate a response scathing enough, he pulled back and adjusted his blood-stained suit jacket with casual elegance. "You'll see me again, Elena Rossi." He said her name like he was tasting it, savoring each syllable. "And when you do, you'll wish you'd been nicer." He walked away, his men falling into formation around him like planets orbiting a dark star. The crowd parted automatically, nobody daring to meet his gaze. Elena stood frozen, watching his broad shoulders disappear through the gilded doors, her hand still trembling. "Oh my God, Elena." Her friend Sophia appeared at her elbow, face pale. "Do you know what you just did? That's Dante Moretti." "So, should I be impressed?" Elena grabbed a fresh champagne flute from a passing waiter, downing half in one gulp. "Impressed? Elena, he's the Moretti family, as in the Mafia family that runs half of New York's underground." Sophia's whisper was urgent, panicked. "People who cross him disappear." The champagne turned sour in her stomach. Elena set the glass down carefully, her mind racing. Mafia. The word conjured images from movies, from news reports she'd scrolled past. Not real, not in her world of law briefs and courtroom arguments. "He was just another arrogant rich guy," she said, but her voice lacked conviction. "Elena," Sophia gripped her arm, "you need to leave the city. Tonight I'm serious." But Elena Rossi had never run from anything in her life. She'd fought her way through law school working 3 jobs. She'd stood up to judges and opposing counsel twice her age. She wasn't about to let some criminal with good cheekbones intimidate her. "I'll be fine," she said, straightening her red dress. "Men like that are all talk." She had no idea how wrong she was. 3 days later, Elena pushed through the glass doors of Morrison and Associates with her 3rd coffee of the morning, already mentally preparing for the deposition scheduled at 10. Her boss, Richard Morrison, intercepted her before she reached her office. "Elena, my office now." His tone made her stomach drop. Richard was usually easygoing, preferring jokes to confrontation. The hard edge in his voice now was new and unsettling. She followed him into his corner office with its view of Central Park, already running through possibilities. Had she missed a filing deadline? Upset a client? Sit. Richard closed the door, which was never a good sign. Elena sat, coffee forgotten on his desk. I'm giving you the Chen case, he said without preamble. Elena blinked. The Chen case was huge, the kind of case junior associates dreamed about. Marcus Chen, a Chinese-American businessman, was accused of embezzling $12 million from various investors. Defending him successfully could make her career. Richard, thank you, I won't let you down. There's a catch. Richard's expression remained grim. He slid a folder across the polished mahogany. The alleged victim, the main investor Chen supposedly stole from, is Morty Enterprises. The name hit her like ice water. Elena's hand froze halfway to the folder. Morty, she repeated slowly. As in Dante Moretti, I heard about the incident at the gala. Richard leaned back, studying her. I need to know if you can handle this professionally. If there's any personal conflict, tell me now. Before we continue, please click the subscribe button, like this video, and leave a comment. This lets us know you're following the story. Elena's mind raced. She should recuse herself. Any reasonable person would. But the challenge in Richard's eyes, the opportunity to prove herself on a major case, the chance to show Dante Moretti that he didn't scare her, all of it coalesced into stubborn determination. There's no conflict, she said firmly. I slapped him. He deserved it. That doesn't affect my ability to defend my client. Richard studied her for a long moment. The trial starts in 6 weeks. Chen's previous attorney dropped out suddenly, very suddenly. The implication hung heavy in the air. You'll be working long hours, and Elena, be careful. The Mortys don't play by the same rules we do. She took the folder, feeling its weight in her hands. I can handle it. That night, Elena spread the case files across her apartment floor. Chinese takeout growing cold as she absorbed every detail. Marcus Chen was 43, married with 2 kids, ran a successful import business. The money trail was complex, winding through offshore accounts and shell corporations. But something nagged at her. The evidence was almost too perfect, too neatly documented. Her phone buzzed, unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Hello. Still playing lawyer, I see. Dante's voice was unmistakable, smooth and dark as aged whiskey. Elena's pulse jumped. How did you get this number? I get everything I want, Elena. You should remember that. She heard the smile in his voice. I hear you're defending the man who stole from me. Allegedly stole, and attorney-client privilege means I'm not discussing this case with you. So professional, he chuckled, the sound doing unwelcome things to her nervous system. I'm impressed. Most people won't even take my calls after I express displeasure. Express displeasure? Is that what we're calling threats now? I never threatened you, Bella. I simply stated facts. Elena stood, packing her small living room. Why are you calling? To invite you to coffee, tomorrow morning, 7th and Park, 8 a.m. Absolutely not. That would be completely inappropriate. So is slapping someone at a charity gala, yet here we are. His voice dropped lower. I'm not asking about the case. I'm asking to see you. There's a difference. The answer is no. Then I'll see you at your office. I'm sure your boss would love an unexpected visit from me. The implied threat was clear. Elena gritted her teeth. Fine, coffee, 20 minutes, that's it. I look forward to it, little lawyer. He hung up before she could respond. Elena stared at her phone, anger and something else, something she refused to name, warring in her chest. This was a terrible idea. Every professional instinct told her to call Richard, to report the contact, to refuse any meeting. But she'd be damned if she'd let Dante Moretti think he could control her. The coffee shop was small, tucked between a dry cleaner and a bookstore. Elena arrived 15 minutes late deliberately, wearing her most severe suit, hair pulled back in a tight bun. Professional armor. Dante sat at a corner table, looking completely out of place in the humble cafe with his tailored suit and the dangerous grace he wore like a second skin. Two of his men stood near the door. When she entered, his gaze locked onto her immediately, and she felt it like a physical touch. "You came," he said as she approached, genuine pleasure in his voice. "You didn't give me much choice." Elena remained standing. "Say what you want to say. I have a deposition to prepare." "Sit, please." He gestured to the chair across from him. When she didn't move, he added, "I bought your coffee already. Vanilla latte, 2 sugars, extra foam. It's getting cold." She stared at the cup, her exact order. "How do you?" "I pay attention to things that interest me." His eyes traveled over her face like he was memorizing every feature. "You interest me, Elena." Against her better judgment, she sat, if only because her legs suddenly felt unsteady. "This is inappropriate on every level." "Most interesting things are." He leaned back, completely relaxed, which somehow made him more intimidating. "Tell me something. Why law? Why not something easier?" "We're not doing small talk." "Humor me." Elena picked up the latte, needing something to do with her hands. "My father was arrested when I was 12. He was innocent. The public defender was overworked, didn't care, barely prepared. He was convicted anyway, died in prison 3 years later." She met Dante's gaze defiantly. "So I became a lawyer to make sure that doesn't happen to anyone else." Something shifted in his expression. "I'm sorry about your father." "I don't want your sympathy." "No, you want justice. I understand that." Elena laughed bitterly. You understand justice. You're a criminal." "I'm a businessman." "A businessman who has people killed." Dante's jaw tightened. "You don't know anything about me or what I do." "I know enough." She stood. "This was a mistake." His hand shot out, gripping her wrist. Not painful, but firm. The contact sent electricity racing up her arm. "Wait, please." The please surprised her enough that she paused. "Your client, Marcus Chen, did steal from me. $5 million. Dante's voice was low, urgent. "But I'm not here to threaten you or him. I'm here because I want you to know the truth." "The truth according to you." "The truth according to the evidence your brilliant legal mind will uncover if you actually look." He released her wrist slowly, fingers trailing across her skin. "Chen's brother worked for a rival family. They wanted to hurt me, used Chen to funnel money. The brother is dead now. Chen is probably being used again." Elena's mind cataloged the information even as she tried to ignore the lingering sensation of his touch. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you're walking into a war you don't understand, and I don't want you caught in the crossfire." "How noble," she said sarcastically, but doubt crept in. The case details she'd reviewed last night, the too perfect evidence, suddenly seemed more sinister. "Not noble, selfish." Dante stood, towering over her. "I meant what I said at the gala, Elena, every word. You've been in my head since that slap. I dream about that fire in your eyes. I want to see it again, want to make it burn hotter. But I need you alive to do that." Her breath caught. "You're insane." "Probably." He smiled, and it transformed his face from dangerous to devastatingly handsome. "Have dinner with me." "No." "Why not?" "Because you're everything I stand against. You're a criminal, you hurt people." "I protect people," he corrected quietly. "My people, my neighborhood, the ones the law forgot about." He stepped closer. "You think you're so different from me. You break rules too. You slapped me in public. Most people would call that assault." "That's not the same." "Isn't it? We both do what we think is right. Consequences be damned." His hand came up, almost touching her face but stopping just short. "You fascinate me, little lawyer. You're afraid, but you don't run. You should run." "I don't scare easily." "I know, that's the problem." His phone buzzed. He checked it, frowned. "I have to go. Think about what I said, about Chen, about the case, about dinner." He walked past her, his men falling in behind him. At the door, he turned back. "Oh, and Elena, the men who are actually behind this, they won't be as gentle as me. Watch your back." Then he was gone, leaving her standing in the coffee shop with cold latte and a head full of warnings she desperately wanted to ignore. But she couldn't. Over the next 2 weeks, Elena dove into the Chen case with obsessive focus. And the more she uncovered, the more Dante's words haunted her. The evidence against Chen was pristine, but it was too pristine. No businessman was this sloppy unless they wanted to be caught or someone wanted them to look guilty. She barely slept, surviving on coffee and takeout, building her defense strategy while simultaneously following threads that led to shadow corporations with ties to organizations she recognized from criminal law textbooks. The Volkov family, Russian mob, definitely not the Italians. "You look terrible," Sophia said, dropping by Elena's office with salads they both knew Elena wouldn't eat. "Thanks, love you too." "I'm serious. You've lost weight. When's the last time you slept?" Sleep is for people without impossible cases and mafia bosses showing up at their coffee shops. Sophia's eyes went wide. "He what?" Elena waved it off. "It's fine. He just wanted to talk." "Elena, this isn't fine. None of this is fine." Sophia grabbed her hand. "Come stay with me for a while, just until the trial's over." "I'm not hiding." "It's not hiding, it's being smart." But Elena had never been particularly smart when it came to backing down from a challenge. She continued her investigation, continued building her case, and tried very hard not to think about dark eyes and a voice that promised more. She failed at that last part spectacularly. It was almost midnight when she finally left the office, files tucked under her arm, eyes gritty with exhaustion. The parking garage was nearly empty, her heels echoing on concrete. She was halfway to her car when she noticed it. A black SUV, engine running, blocking her driver's side door. Elena's heart kicked into overdrive. She spun, ready to run, but another SUV pulled up behind her, trapping her between vehicles. This was it. The moment Sophia had warned her about. The moment she'd been stupidly courting with her stubborn refusal to be intimidated. The first SUV's door opened. Dante stepped out. Relief and anger flooded through her in equal measure. "What the hell are you doing?" "Saving your life, apparently." He strode toward her, face grim. "Get in the car." "I'm not going anywhere with you." "Elena, this isn't a game." He grabbed her arm, pulling her toward his vehicle. "The Volkovs know you're digging into their operations. They sent men to your apartment 20 minutes ago." The world tilted. "What?" "My people intercepted them. They're currently regretting their life choices in an undisclosed location." His grip tightened. "But more will come. You need to disappear. Tonight." "I can't just disappear. I have a trial in 4 weeks. I have a client." "You'll have a coffin if you stay here." He opened the back door. "Please, Elena, for once in your stubborn life, listen to someone trying to help you." She looked into his eyes and saw genuine fear there. For her, this man who probably feared nothing was afraid for her safety. It should have meant nothing. It meant everything. Elena climbed into the SUV. Dante slid in beside her, and the vehicle lurched into motion before the door fully closed. She gripped the leather seat, heart hammering as they sped through Manhattan streets with practiced precision, taking turns that made her stomach flip. "Where are we going?" she demanded. "Somewhere safe." Dante pulled out his phone, typing rapidly. "Marco, sweep the office again. I want cameras on every entrance. And find out who gave the Volkovs her address." Elena's mind spun. This was real. Men had come to her apartment, to hurt her, kill her. The thought made bile rise in her throat. "I need my files, for the case." "Already handled. My people grabbed everything from your office 30 minutes ago." She whipped around to face him. "You broke into my office." "I had it cleaned, actually. There were listening devices, 3 of them." His jaw was tight with controlled rage. "They've been monitoring you for at least a week." The violation of it hit her like a fist. Her space, her work, her privacy, all of it compromised. "This is insane. I should call the police." "And tell them what? That the Russian mob is after you because you're defending a client in a civil case. They'll write a report and do nothing." Dante's hand covered hers where it gripped the seat. "I know you hate this, hate needing help, hate that it's coming from me, but your pride isn't worth your life." She wanted to argue, but the warmth of his hand, the genuine concern in his voice, it all stripped away her defenses. She was terrified, and suddenly having him next to her, solid and dangerous and protective, felt like the only safe place in the world. "How long?" she whispered. "Until the trial. I'll make sure you have everything you need to prepare, but you stay where I put you, and you don't leave without my men." "I'm not a prisoner." "No, you're alive. Let's keep it that way." The SUV pulled into an underground garage. Dante helped her out, his hand on her lower back, guiding her toward a private elevator. "This building is mine, penthouse floor. No one gets up without my authorization." The elevator was all mirrors and soft lighting. Elena caught sight of herself and barely recognized the woman staring back. Pale, eyes too large, hair escaping from its bun. She looked fragile. She hated it. "I need to call Marcus. My client. He needs to know what's happening." "Already done. He and his family are in protective custody, different location." "You have people protecting my client." The absurdity almost made her laugh. "The man you say stole from you." "He's a pawn. Pawns don't deserve to die for games they didn't start." The elevator doors opened directly into a sprawling penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the glittering city. Expensive minimalist furniture. Art that probably cost more than her student loans. "Make yourself comfortable," Dante said, shrugging off his jacket. Without it, she could see the shoulder holster, the gun he wore as casually as other men wore watches. "Guest rooms are down the hall. Your things from the office are in the second room. Kitchen is stocked. If you need anything, there's a phone on the counter. Press 1. Elena stood in the center of the vast living room, feeling unmoored. "I don't understand you." "Join the club." He moved to the bar, poured 2 glasses of something amber, brought one to her. "Drink, you're shaking." She was. Elena took the glass, the whiskey burning her throat but steadying her nerves. "Why do you care? You don't know me." "I know enough." Dante drank his own whiskey, eyes never leaving her face. "I know you're brilliant and stubborn. I know you fight for people who can't fight for themselves. I know you're not afraid to slap a man twice your size when he disrespects you." A smile ghosted across his lips. "And I know that from the moment you raised your hand to me, I couldn't stop thinking about you." "That's not a reason to upend your life for someone." "No," he agreed. "But this is. I've done terrible things, Elena. Things that would make you hate me if you knew. I've hurt people, killed people. I'm not a good man by anyone's definition." He set his glass down, stepped closer. "But when I look at you, I want to be. You make me want to be something better than what I am." The confession hung between them, raw and honest in a way she hadn't expected him capable of. Elena's chest tightened. "I can't be that for you," she said quietly. "I can't fix you." "I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to let me keep you safe while you do what you do best. Fight, win, make them pay for underestimating you." His hand came up, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. The gesture was so gentle it made her throat ache. "And maybe, when this is over, you'll have coffee with me again, without the death threats." She should step back, should establish boundaries, should remember that he was a criminal and she was supposed to represent everything he wasn't. Instead, she leaned into his touch just slightly. "One coffee," she whispered, "if we both survive this." "We will." His thumb traced her cheekbone. "I promise you that." The moment stretched, charged with possibility and danger and want. Then Dante stepped back, breaking the spell. "Get some rest. Tomorrow we start planning how to destroy your case and mine." "What?" "You think I'm letting you go into that courtroom unprepared? I know every dirty trick the Volkovs will try to pull. You're going to win this case, Elena. And when you do, they'll have no reason to come after you anymore. You're going to help me defend the man who supposedly stole from you against people who are apparently your enemies." Elena's head spun. "That makes no sense." "Welcome to my world. Nothing makes sense." He walked toward what she assumed was his bedroom. At the door, he paused. "Oh, and Elena, the only reason I'm not kissing you right now is because you've had a traumatic evening and you'd probably slap me again. But make no mistake, I want to very badly." He disappeared into his room before she could respond. Elena stood alone in the unfamiliar penthouse, heart racing, mind reeling, and utterly lost for what to do next. She found the guest room Dante had mentioned, her case files neatly stacked on the desk, her laptop already set up and charging. He'd thought of everything. She should be planning, strategizing. Instead, she lay on the impossibly soft bed and stared at the ceiling, replaying every word, every look, every touch. This was madness. She was supposed to hate him. He represented everything wrong with the justice system, with power unchecked by law. But he'd saved her life, was helping her win her case, looked at her like she was something precious worth protecting. Sleep came fitfully, full of dark eyes and dangerous promises. Morning brought the smell of coffee and something cooking. Elena emerged from the bedroom in yesterday's clothes, feeling rumpled and disoriented. Dante stood at the stove, somehow making the domestic scene look both wrong and incredibly right. He ditched the suit for dark jeans and a black t-shirt that showed off arms she tried not to notice. "You cook," she said from the doorway. "I have many hidden talents." He plated what looked like a perfect omelet. "Eat, then we work." They fell into an unlikely routine. Dante proved as sharp with legal strategy as he was with whatever else he did in his criminal empire. He knew the Volkovs' tactics intimately, their patterns, their weaknesses. Together, they built a defense that was airtight, anticipating every move before it came. "Here," Dante said on the third day, sliding a folder across the dining table they'd turned into a war room. "Financial records. They prove the Volkovs funneled the money through Chen's accounts without his knowledge." Elena flipped through the documents, eyes widening. "This is exactly what I needed. How did you get this?" "Better you don't ask." "Dante," she looked up at him, "is this legal?" "Does it matter? It's true." "It matters to me." But even as she said it, she knew she'd use the documents. Justice, it turned out, had more gray areas than she'd admitted. "You're learning," Dante said softly, reading her face. "The law isn't always just. Sometimes just means bending the rules." "I don't want to become someone who thinks like that." "Too late, little lawyer. You already are." He leaned back, studying her. "That's not a bad thing. It means you're seeing the world as it actually is, not how you wish it was." Their eyes held. The air between them thickened with awareness that had been building for days of close quarters and shared purpose. Elena broke the contact first, returning to the documents with burning cheeks. "We should practice your cross-examination," she said, voice slightly unsteady. "If you insist," but his smile said he knew exactly what she was doing. The days blurred together. Early mornings of preparation, afternoons of mock trials with Dante playing every role from judge to hostile witness, evenings of Chinese food and debates about justice versus law. And through it all, the tension between them grew, a living thing that charged every glance, every accidental touch. Elena learned things about Dante she never expected. He read philosophy, donated anonymously to youth programs in his old neighborhood, had a younger sister he adored and protected fiercely. He wasn't the monster she'd expected. He was complicated, morally gray, dangerous, and gentle in equal measure. "Tell me something true," she said one night. They sat on the balcony, the city spread below them, sharing a bottle of wine that probably cost more than her monthly rent. "What do you want to know?" "Why this life? You're clearly brilliant. You could have been anything." Dante was quiet for a long moment. "My father was killed when I was 15 by a rival family. My mother died 6 months later. Broken heart, the doctors said, but I knew better. She gave up." He swirled his wine. "I had a choice. Let my sister end up in foster care and probably dead by 20 or step into my father's shoes. I chose her. I chose survival. And then I was in too deep to get out." "You could still get out." "Could I?" He looked at her, something bleak in his eyes. "You think the FBI would give me witness protection and a fresh start? People like me don't get redemption arcs, Elena. We just try to do less damage." "I don't believe that. People can change." "You have too much faith in humanity." "And you have too little." She set her wine down, shifted to face him fully. "You're helping me, protecting strangers. That's not the action of someone beyond redemption." Or maybe I'm just trying to impress you." His voice dropped lower. "Is it working?" Her breath caught. They were close enough that she could see the flecks of amber in his dark eyes, close enough to feel the heat radiating from his body. "Maybe," she whispered. Dante's hand came up, cupping her face with a tenderness that made her chest ache. "Elena, I need you to understand something. When this is over, when you're safe, you need to go back to your life. Your normal, law-abiding, good life. And forget about me." "Why?" "Because I'll ruin you. I ruin everything I touch eventually. I'm not that fragile. You're strong, but my world eats strong people alive." His thumb stroked her cheek. "I meant what I said at the coffee shop. You're in my head, under my skin, but that doesn't mean I should act on it." "What if I want you to?" The question hung between them, dangerous and tempting. Dante's control visibly frayed, his jaw tightening, eyes darkening with want. "Don't say things like that unless you mean them." "I mean them." Elena's heart hammered. This was reckless, stupid, she didn't care. Dante's restraint shattered. He pulled her against him, mouth claiming hers with a hunger that stole her breath. Elena melted into the kiss, hands fisting in his shirt, 7 days of tension exploding into this moment. He tasted like wine and danger and promises she shouldn't want but desperately did. His hands tangled in her hair, angling her head to deepen the kiss. She gasped against his mouth, and he took advantage, tongue sweeping in to claim every inch. Heat flooded through her, pooling low in her belly. This was insane, perfect, terrifying. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Dante rested his forehead against hers. "We shouldn't," he said, voice rough. "Probably not," but her hands were still gripping his shirt, not letting go. "If we do this, there's no going back. You understand that?" "I understand." "Elena," he pulled back enough to look at her, and the raw emotion in his face made her breath catch. "I've killed people, ordered deaths, done things that would haunt you. You deserve better than me. Let me decide what I deserve." She pulled him back down, kissing him with everything she'd been holding back for 2 weeks. Dante groaned against her mouth, and then he was standing, lifting her with him, carrying her inside without breaking the kiss. They stumbled toward his bedroom, leaving a trail of his shirt, her blazer. The rational part of Elena's brain screamed warnings she ignored in favor of the feel of his skin under her hands, the way he looked at her like she was something sacred and profane at once. They fell onto his bed, a tangle of limbs and desperate touches. Dante's hands mapped her body with reverent attention, like he was memorizing every curve, every response. When he finally pushed inside her, his eyes locked on hers with an intensity that stole her breath. "When I'm inside you," he whispered against her lips, echoing his words from the gala, "the only word you'll remember is more." He was right. She couldn't get enough, couldn't get close enough. They moved together with a desperation born of fear and want and the knowledge that this might be all they ever had. When she shattered, his name was the only word on her lips, and when he followed, he buried his face in her neck, holding her like she might disappear. After, they lay tangled together, sweat cooling on their skin, hearts gradually slowing. Dante's fingers traced idle patterns on her bare shoulder. "I meant what I said," Elena whispered into the darkness, "about you being capable of change. And I meant what I said about ruining you." But his arms tightened around her. "I'm too selfish to let you go, though. God help us both." They had 5 more days before the trial. 5 days of working by day and burning up together at night. 5 days where Elena let herself pretend this could be her life, that she could have both justice and the man who lived outside its bounds. The trial arrived too quickly. Marcus Chen looked small and scared in the courtroom, his wife gripping his hand in the gallery. The prosecution was represented by a shark in a $1,000 suit. The judge was stern but fair. And sitting in the back row, visible only to Elena when she turned, was Dante, flanked by his men, his presence a tangible weight. She'd prepared for this. They'd prepared for this. But standing before the judge, about to begin opening arguments, Elena felt the weight of everything balancing on the next few hours. "Ms. Rossi," the judge said, "you may proceed." Elena stood, smoothed her skirt, and stepped into the role she was born to play. Your Honor, members of the jury, the prosecution would have you believe this case is simple. A businessman stole money. The evidence is clear. Case closed. She paused, meeting each juror's eyes. But nothing about this case is simple, because Marcus Chen didn't steal anything. He was used, manipulated, set up by people who saw him as nothing more than a convenient scapegoat. Over the next 3 hours, she systematically dismantled the prosecution's case. She introduced the financial records Dante had provided, showing the money's true path through Volkov's shell corporations. She called expert witnesses who testified about sophisticated money laundering schemes. She painted Marcus Chen not as a criminal, but as a victim. The prosecution fought hard, but Elena was better. Every objection she countered. Every witness she cross-examined until their testimony crumbled. She felt Dante's eyes on her the whole time, felt his pride and something deeper that made her stand taller. When the jury returned after only 2 hours of deliberation, Elena's heart was in her throat. We find the defendant, Marcus Chen, not guilty on all charges. The courtroom erupted. Marcus collapsed into his wife's arms, sobbing. Richard Morrison beamed from the gallery, and Elena, riding the high of victory, turned to find Dante. He was gone. Panic fluttered in her chest, but one of his men caught her eye, nodding toward the exit. She excused herself, pushing through congratulations and reporters until she found him in the courthouse gardens, standing alone in the fading light. "You left," she said, approaching slowly. "You won. You didn't need me anymore." He didn't turn around. "Dante." "You should go celebrate, Elena. You earned it." His voice was carefully neutral. "Your client is free. The Volkovs have no reason to come after you now. Their case collapsed. You're safe." The finality in his tone made her chest tighten. "So that's it. We're done." "That was always the plan." He finally turned, and the careful blankness on his face hurt more than any words. "You go back to your life. I go back to mine." "I don't want that." "What you want doesn't matter. This," he gestured between them, "was always temporary. A moment stolen from reality, but reality doesn't care about moments." Elena stepped closer, anger replacing hurt. "Don't do this. Don't push me away because you're scared." "I'm not scared, I'm practical." But something cracked in his facade. "You think this can work? You, the lawyer who fights for justice with me, the man who deals in violence. How long before you hate what I am? A month, a year. Maybe forever, or maybe never." She grabbed his jacket. "But I want the chance to find out. Don't I get a say in this? You get to have a future that doesn't end with you dead because you were associated with me." He gripped her wrists gently, his control visibly fraying. "I care about you too much to let you throw your life away. Then care enough to let me make my own choices." Tears burned her eyes. "I'm not stupid, Dante. I know what being with you means. I know it's dangerous and complicated and probably insane. But I also know that I haven't felt this alive, this seen, this understood by anyone else. Ever. Elena. I love you." The words tumbled out before she could stop them. "I know it's fast. I know it's crazy. But I do. And if you feel even a fraction of what I feel, you won't walk away." Dante's composure shattered. He pulled her against him, kissing her with desperate intensity, like he was trying to memorize her. When he pulled back, his eyes were bright with unshed tears. "I love you too," he whispered. "God help me, I love you so much it terrifies me." "Then stay. We'll figure it out together." "It won't be easy." "Nothing worth having ever is." He laughed, the sound broken and beautiful. "You're going to be the death of me, little lawyer." "Good thing I'm excellent at arguing for life sentences." She kissed him again, softer this time. "So what now?" "Now," Dante tucked her against his side as they walked toward the parking lot where his SUV waited. "Now we take this one day at a time. I can't promise you normal. I can't promise you safe. But I can promise you that I will love you with everything I am for as long as you'll have me." That's a pretty good opening statement. "Yeah," he opened the car door for her. "Wait until you hear my closing arguments." 6 months passed like a fever dream. Elena kept her apartment but spent most nights in Dante's penthouse. She maintained her practice, taking cases that mattered, building a reputation as the lawyer who won the impossible case against the Mortys. Dante never interfered with her work, respecting the line between their worlds even as those worlds increasingly overlapped. He changed, too, in ways subtle but significant. More money flowed to legitimate businesses. Violence became a last resort rather than a first option. He would never be a saint, but with Elena's influence, he became something closer to the man he could have been. They learned each other's rhythms. Elena discovered Dante made her coffee every morning without being asked, that he read every brief she wrote even though he pretended not to, that he had nightmares he'd never admit to. Dante learned Elena sang off-key in the shower, that she cried at animal shelter commercials, that she was ruthlessly competitive at board games. It wasn't perfect. They fought spectacularly about his business, about her taking dangerous cases, about the fundamental incompatibility of their values. But they always came back together, drawn by something stronger than logic or sense. "I have something for you," Dante said one evening. They were on the balcony again, the place where everything had changed, sharing wine and comfortable silence. Elena looked up from the brief she was reviewing. "If it's another illegally obtained document, I'm going to pretend to be scandalized." "Not illegal, just expensive." He pulled out a small box. Her heart stopped. "Dante, it's not what you think. Well, it is, but not yet." He opened it, revealing a key. "I bought a house, outside the city, somewhere quiet, somewhere safe, somewhere we could build something that's ours, not mine or yours, just ours." Elena took the key with shaking hands. "You bought a house." "I bought us a future, if you want it." Vulnerability flickered across his face. "Do you want it?" She thought about the woman she'd been 6 months ago at the gala, the one who believed in absolute right and wrong, who never would have imagined loving a man like Dante Moretti. That woman was gone, replaced by someone who understood that the world was painted in shades of gray, that love didn't follow rules, that sometimes the most moral choice was the one that broke all the laws. "I want it," she said. "I want everything with you, the messy, complicated, impossible everything." Dante's smile was brilliant. He pulled her into his lap, holding her close. "Good, because I already started moving your books there. Your collection was taking over my office." "You did not." "I absolutely did. Also, I hired contractors to build you a home office, with proper lighting and everything." Elena laughed, the sound free and joyful. "You're impossible." "You love me anyway." "I really do." She kissed him, slow and deep, pouring 6 months of love and fear and hope into it. When they broke apart, she rested her forehead against his. "Thank you." "For what?" "For proving me wrong, about everything. About you, about us, about whether something beautiful can grow in dark places." "You're the beautiful thing, Elena. I'm just the dark place lucky enough to have you blooming in it." That's surprisingly poetic for a mafia boss. "I contain multitudes." He stood, pulling her with him. "Come on, let's go see our house." "Now, it's almost midnight." "Since when has timing ever stopped us?" They drove through the city and into the suburbs, arriving at a house that took Elena's breath away. Victorian architecture, a wraparound porch, gardens that would be beautiful in spring. It was perfect. It was home. "The neighbors think I'm a tech investor," Dante said as they walked through empty rooms that echoed with possibility. "Which isn't entirely untrue. I have been investing in legitimate businesses." "Because of me." "Because of you, because I want to be someone you can be proud of." He pulled her into what would be their bedroom, moonlight streaming through tall windows. "I know I'll never be perfect, I'll never be entirely clean, but I'm trying to be better, for you, for us, for whatever future we're building here." Elena turned in his arms, seeing the man he was and the man he was becoming. "I don't need perfect, Dante, I just need you. Trying, growing, that's enough." "I love you, little lawyer." "I love you too, you impossible man." They made love in the empty house, on the floor with moonlight painting their skin silver, claiming this space as theirs. Afterward, wrapped in Dante's jacket because they'd forgotten blankets, Elena thought about how far they'd both come. What are you thinking? Dante asked, fingers drawing lazy patterns on her back. That I should have slapped you sooner. His laugh rumbled through his chest. Best slap I ever received. The only slap you ever received, I hope. The only one that mattered. He kissed her temple. Thank you for seeing past the monster. Thank you for letting me in despite the risk. They lay there as night deepened into dawn, two people from different worlds building something entirely their own. It wouldn't be easy. There would be challenges, dangers, moments when their two realities collided in ways that hurt. But they would face it together. Because Elena had learned that love wasn't about perfection. It was about choice. About choosing to see the good in someone everyone else had written off. About choosing to fight for something even when the odds seemed impossible. About choosing to believe that even in the darkest places, light could take root and grow. And Dante had learned that he was capable of being more than his past, more than his sins. More than the life that had been chosen for him before he was old enough to choose differently. With Elena, he was becoming the man he'd always had the potential to be. When I'm inside you, Dante whispered as dawn broke over their new home, the only word you remember is more. More love, more future, more of this life we're creating, more of us. More, Elena agreed, kissing him as the sun rose. Always more. If you've enjoyed this dramatic love story of Elena and Dante, please hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling us which moment captured your heart. Was it the slap that started everything? The coffee shop confrontation? Or maybe that passionate moment in the empty house? Let us know below, and don't forget to like this video so more people can experience this thrilling romance. What do you think happens next for Elena and Dante? Share your predictions in the comments. Your support means everything and helps us bring you more captivating stories like this one. Subscribe now and turn on notifications so you never miss our next upload.